الحمد لله الذي له جنود السماوات والأرض وهو العزيز الحكيم وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله العلي الكريم والصلاة والسلام على نبينا مولانا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه ومن تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين. أما بعد فأعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. وافعلوا الخير لعلكم تفلحون. وقال الله تعالى إنما المؤمنون إخوة. Respectful honorable friends and brothers and sisters listening at home, a believer and a mu'min is such that not only does a believer abstain and stay away from causing harm to other individuals, but a mu'min is one who, along with that, takes care of others and is always concerned with regards the plight of other individuals. Meaning that there are two sides. One is that a person, a mu'min, should be conscious of the fact that they do not cause any harm to another individual. This is the most important thing. And then along with that, a mu'min is one who is always concerned with regards to the plight of other individuals. This is a quality that if we do not possess, we should inculcate within us, a quality wherein we care about other individuals. Whether they are Muslims or non-Muslims, irrelevant, but a mu'min is one that cares for others. And then when it comes to caring for others, from the two, Muslims and non-Muslims, it's a case of caring and giving that preference to Muslims over those who are non-Muslims. But the quality of caring for people, this should be found in a believer, for a believer and a non-believer. This is something that we find in the seerah of Nabi Kareem sallallahu ta'ala sallam, something that Nabi Kareem sallallahu ta'ala sallam established within the Sahaba Kiram radiallahu ta'ala an as well. Nowadays our condition is, and this is not just pertaining to Muslims, but in general, that we do not have any feelings for others or any care for others, and neither do we have the desire to help others. As a society, how we have become is that we do not want, we would rather watch somebody suffering than helping somebody get out of their suffering. Somebody, for instance, has an accident where in the past people would run out to help and assist that individual as much as possible, where rather it would be a case of too many cooks, too many people wanting to try and help. But now unfortunately, if something does happen to someone, we just stand there watching that person suffering. And not only that, but we'll be standing there with our mobile phones. Each will take out the mobile phones, filming that person or taking photos of the person. The poor person is in distress, the poor person is suffering, the poor person is dying even. But until any emergency services arrive, instead of us trying to help assist that individual, and even if we do not know anything, at least just to be there at the side of that individual, we rather, instead of taking our phones out to call the emergency services, we'll be taking our phones out to film what's going on there. And if the person is injured or the person is dying even, then even no more we want to film it and put that on so it trends even more, the live scene of a person dying. This is unfortunately how we have become. And not only that, my dear friends, but on this topic of the cameras and the filming as well, we have no sense of consciousness or care for the individual. That a person can be heavily injured, badly injured, in a gruesome state, or maybe even killed in that state. But even then we don't respect the honor of that individual, but we start filming and taking pictures of that individual and posting that all over the place. Remembering, and we should remember that it is a gruesome sight, where in our deen and shariat there is so much emphasis upon what the honor of an individual. That do not belittle an individual, do not destroy the honor of an individual. Now that a person is injured in such a manner, or have passed away in a gruesome manner, injured, there is injuries, the form has been deformed as well. These are sights that should be concealed, and this is not something that we should be broadcasting and showing. Unfortunately, and that is just not even there, but general as well. Any mayyit, for instance. A mayyit, my dear friends, at that time they've gone through the pangs of death. And majority at that time, irrelevant whether they are righteous or not righteous, they go through the pangs of death. That is going to be seen and manifested on their face as well. And it's not always going to be a nice appearance as well. We should respect that, and we should not be taking photos of any mayyit for that matter. Any mayyit for that matter. We should not be taking photos of that at all. And then we display that. Now, especially if the person is a little deformed or they've been injured in such a manner, just imagine if that passed on, reaches the family members, how much distress they would feel upon it. I remember a couple of years ago, a few years now, when we had the crane accident that took place, incident that took place in the Haram, if you recall. And even then, when that occurred as well, immediately there were pictures going out. And those pictures included dead bodies there. People who had become shaheed there in the Haram, people lying there, and some in a bit of a gruesome state as well. And those pictures, immediately as it occurred, those pictures were viral and going out. Now just imagine if there is a family member of those who got injured there, who passed away, who still is waiting for news, and they receive these type of pictures. Or any for that matter, there is something as respect as well. They wouldn't want that their beloved, just as we ourselves, we wouldn't want that our picture or our beloved, their picture should go out in such a manner that they in a gruesome state, injured, or they've been killed in such a manner. Hence we should also learn to respect people. Learn to respect people, and at that time forget about anything that's trending. Forget about how much likes we will get, how many hits we may get on our sites, or whatever it may be. At that time we should respect the honor of that individual. This is the hukam of deen and shariat. To the extent that deen and shariat says that even at the time of death, if a person's face does alter and change, keep it covered, do not mention that to anybody at all. Never mind displaying it, opening up for people to come and have a look. At that time, do not even mention it to other people as well. And go and say, uska chehra to aisa ho gaya tha, uska chehra to waisa ho gaya tha, fula waghaira. But leave that as well. Do not even mention that to people, leave it, conceal that. That is now between them and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's why in one of the hadiths that I was about to mention, the topic is slightly changed as well. With regards to brotherhood as well, there were Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam lengthy hadith mentions al-Muslimu wa kul Muslim, a mu'min is Muslim, brother of another Muslim, that la yazlimuhu wa la yusallimuhu. And in the same hadith, Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam mentioned that whoever conceals the faults of another individual, Allah Ta'ala will conceal his faults on the day of Qiyamah. Whoever conceals the faults of another individual, Allah Ta'ala will conceal his faults on the day of Qiyamah. On this basis, my dear friends, we find how important it is that we conceal. Sometimes there might be something that is of a fault for an individual. So we should not show this, we should conceal these type of things. So we should not be taking photos at that time. And simply, my dear friends, neither is it any ibadat or something that we need to take a photo of that individual and show that to the world. And neither is it any ibadat that we need to have the mudikhai, that rasam. And without that, there is like fights and that arguments take place as well. And this is how how our nature is, my dear friends. When a person is alive, we have no tawfiq to visit that person. When they are alive, we don't go visit them. And we don't go see their face at that time when they are alive. But now that they have passed away, after they have passed away, now everybody wants to go and see their face. And we become upset if the family members don't show us the face. But what have you come for? Have you come for the janaza, or have you come just to see the face of the mayyit? So, and some make that such an issue, that we went there and we went to the janaza, we came and they didn't show us the face. Then why not doing the mudikhai rasam for, why not showing us the face of the mayyit? But what do you want to see of that mayyit? The mayyit is not going to look any good at that time. They've gone through the pangs of death. If you wanted to see the person by when they were alive, you should have come and see that individual. There is no sawab now to see that person when they have passed away. Now that a person has passed away, you go there for what reason? You go there to be part of the janazah, so you will be there for the janazah salat. So by being there, we get the reward of the janazah salah. We can be there to increase the amount of people who will make dua for the mayyit, who will get the reward for the mayyit. So we go there for that purpose. We go there to discharge our duty that we have now upon the mayyit. That's why with regards to the rights of a believer as well, my dear friends, the right of the believer includes that when a person passes away, attend his janazah. Attend his janazah. To the extent that the ruling of janazah salat is what? That it is farz al-kifaya. Meaning that it is farz upon the entire community, local community, to that individual that they should attend. As long as 1 or 2 people, if sufficient people attend, then that is fine. So it is farz al-kifaya. So it is our duty at that time that we go to honor the mayyit, that we read the janazah salat of that person. Where there is a need, we raise the janazah of that individual, we walk with the janazah of that individual, we help with the burial of that individual. These are the things that we're supposed to be doing. But at that time, for us to now show the face and start taking photos of the face, these type of things, these are inappropriate things. And neither are these from the hukuk of the mayyit as well. And at the same time, as I mentioned to you, my dear friends, the most important thing is, as Nabi Karim sallallahu alaihi wasallam mentions, that innamal a'malu bil khawatim. What matters most is the condition in which a person has passed away. If he passes away on iman, that is the most important thing. If he has passed away doing good deeds, that is the most important thing. And it has nothing to do with how a person is looking at that time. What happens is somebody is righteous or somebody is pious, or any person for that matter. And then what we do is we take photos of that individual, and then we say, "Bhai, Hazrat ke chehre par kitna noor tha. Hazrat ke chehre par kitna noor tha." And this person was smiling, this person was looking at this, or this person was looking like that. And there are so many righteous and pious people who at that time when they passed away, there is no muskurahat on their face. And we start questioning, how come there is no muskurahat, there is no smile on their face also? But none of these things are relevant. None of these things are relevant at all. The piety, acceptance in the eyes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not going to be on by whose face after they passed away had the most noor on it. Who was smiling at the time of death. But none of these, who looked so nice at the time of death. But none of these things are going to matter to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But the non-Muslims, they look the best when they die, isn't it? They wear such suits and such dresses that they didn't wear in their lifetime as well. Even in their lifetime, they never wore such nice clothes than they do when they die. And they put makeup on as well. So there is a case of the hair is done as well, makeup is done as well, and because there's a delay in the burial, male or female, they do put the makeup on so that you cannot see the decaying of the body. So if you're going to go upon appearances, then the non-Muslims look the best. But is that going to make any difference? That's going to make no difference at all. Why? Because they had no iman whatsoever. So the appearance of an individual at that time is not the basis. Yes, there will be times when Allah Ta'ala might show some indication, sign of that nature. Wherein, yes, there are cases wherein somebody who is not a good individual, Allah Ta'ala shows the sign that, look, this is an azab of Allah Subhanahu Wa Ta'ala. There are times when you know that person is a good individual, Allah Ta'ala shows something. But this is not the basis of any acceptance, that we take that as acceptance and we start showing that around. That Hazrat of Surafullah has so much noor on their face. But some people are fair. Somebody who's fair, you're going to say that is noor. Sometimes the camera, depending on direction in, the light as well might shine on that person's forehead, and then you see that there's so much noor on that individual. But it's a lighting. It is a lighting system that seems to you that there is so much noor on that individual. So all these things have a factor, and none of these make any difference at all. My dear friends, nobody is better. The best death that a person can have is that of shahadat. When shahadat comes to an individual, not every shaheed is going to die with a big smile on his face. And when a person becomes shaheed, just imagine at that time they're injured as well. And the nature of the injury we do not know as well. So a lot of times the shaheed is not going to look in the best of conditions as well. But are we going to say at that time, because it doesn't look good, that is some other sign also? That isn't the case at all. The shaheed may not be smiling, the shaheed's face may be all destroyed even. But that is not what matters. It is the condition in which a person passes away that matters the most. So my dear friends, we should avoid these type of things. We should avoid these type of things, first of all. And we should not start going into these type of things and start taking these things to be some form of evidence and some type of proof that look, this is happening and this person is so righteous and so pious. Unfortunately, this is how we are, my dear friends. I've totally diverted from the topic that I was mentioning. But this ummah is ajeeb how gullible we are. How gullible and foolish we are. That we just behind what these type of things, we just want to see what karamats. We just want to see karamats in people. We just want to hear stories of karamat about people. But deen and sharia is not based on these type of things. What is it? Haqiqat is by look at the amal of that person, look at the life of that person. If that person was firm upon deen and they died upon with iman at a stage in a condition wherein they were punctual upon deen, that person is successful, that is what matters the most. Look at those things in that individual's life. Not towards any karamat and these type of things, but these things are irrelevant, and a lot of times, these are how foolish we are. Just recently, a couple of days, during this week, and many of you might have seen it as well, a video went around, wherein some say it was so-and-so, some say it was this Pir Sahib or that Shaykh, some say it was the Tabligh Jamaat, whoever, whatever, where there is a video of some individuals walking in some jungle in Africa, and there is two tigers or lions. There are two lions. And they're holding the tail of the lion or something, or they're walking behind the lions or something. This is video, maybe a man might have seen it, those who have seen it, is going around. And now, what people say to it? They make a big thing about it here. That look, even the lions are showing them the way. Even the lions are doing gush with them and showing the way in the jungle. That even the lions are scared of these pious people. That even the lions are under the control of these pious people. And a big deal is made out of it. There's another thing in the background as well. So this is what is shown there, and people are so look here, even the lions are not are respecting them, and even the lions are not attacking them, and these type of all sorts of things along with it. Whereas, my dear friends, the haqiqat reality is, just go into a normal jungle anywhere somewhere. Just go anywhere into a jungle there. Or send that Jamaat there into a jungle somewhere else, a normal jungle there, and see whether those lions are going to be following them or running behind them or walking in front of them. But there are those type of animals that are trained. They are tame and they are trained. And their work is that this is what we'll do. You can play with them. So the fact that you're able to play with them does not mean that, look, they are scared of you. They are tamed, they've been trained for that purposes, my dear friends. And you go to these type of places. I've been to these type of these places as well. And these animals are trained. So many places you'll go, my dear friends, where they have horse riding, for instance. And when it's a huge big park, you'll go for horse riding. And when you're on that horse, you might think that you are actually controlling the horse. But the reality is those horses are so trained and they know the route so well that they know what their job is. That if you were to just let go of the reins, the horse is still going to take you on the same route. He's done it so many times, he knows what he's doing, it will continue on that route. But you might think that you're actually controlling it, but just leave it. And you'll find you're not the rider. You have to sit there and it is doing its job, it's entertaining people. So why? Because the animal is trained to do so. So you will get such type of animals who are trained to do that, to just walk along the path and you just follow it as you want. And now somebody's made that a video out of it and made that viral. That look, chalo, these hazards, even the lions are under his control. He said, replace those lions with real lions, and then you'll know how big hazard is. So this is how we have become, my dear friends. That we look at these type of things, but we don't look at what the haqiqat, the reality is, my dear friends. We don't look at what the haqiqat and reality is. Let us leave all these type of things and come to what actual deen is all about and see whether deen is in a person or not. So Farhad, as I was mentioning to you, the quality of a believer is one that a believer is caring for other individuals. A believer cares for other people, he respects other people, and especially when it comes to honor, he respects the honor of another individual. He does not belittle another individual, he does not dishonor another individual. So on this I just slightly diverted, and the whole point was, where we diverted was on the fact that today when we find somebody or we see somebody in some form of distress, some kind of hardship and difficulty, an accident or something has occurred to them, instead of us thinking about what looking after them, seeing to them, tendering to them, helping them, instead Instead, what we do is, we start filming them, we start taking photos of them at that time. So this is something, my dear friends, and now let's finish off on this topic, inshallah, the actual topic that I was meant to speak about, which will continue with Allah wills in next week's Jum'ah. Because this is something very, very important, my dear friends. And especially when it comes to this type of videoing and these aspects as well, that how these things have become so out of hand. Who's going to tell the ummah, my dear friends? It's become so out of hand that we find so many of our akabirin, our elders, our righteous, pious ulama, who their entire lives advocated against and spoke against videoing and that. Even when they passed away, you find people are taking videos of their mayyit at that time of when they have passed away, and they're taking that and making that bad. Well, that person stood totally firm against something, and we are the ones who are now violating the honor of that individual by taking such films and that. And as I mentioned to you, when a person does pass away at that time, they're not in the best of states. That's not the time for you to start taking photos of that individual and showing that to the people. As I mentioned to you, if that was the case with us, how we would feel. If that was the case with our beloveds, we would not want that, so why do we do that with other individuals, other people as well? Very important that we abstain from these type of things. Learn to respect a person. And here now this is a mayyit who now can't say to you, don't take my photo so. If, for instance, if that person was alive, an accident took place, in that accident what took place, that their whole jaw had been dislocated, for instance. The eyes came out of their sockets, gruesome sight at that moment. And if you stood there with your photo, with your cameras, and if they were able to speak and communicate with you, would they tell you yes? Would they say that? But yes, take my photo here, and put it on everywhere and get it out trending and that. But if they were able to communicate at that time, they would say, don't, this is not the time to be taking photos of me at all. But this is what we do, my dear friends. We take photos of that time, on that occasion as well. We do not feel for that individual, we don't think about that individual, and we dishonor a person by taking films, videos of that picture at that time. And as I mentioned in between as well, that look, the mayyit is not the best of sights. Rather, at that time, it is not necessary, where we have this rasam as well, this custom of the mudikai as well, but that needs to be under control as well. If you want to see a person, see them when they are alive. See them when they are alive. That is what matters the most. Not that when they now die, now you're making a big fuss about the fact that you did not get to see their face. But itna muh dekhna tha, to zinda jab the, to jaake unki ziyarat karni chahiye. When they were ill, you should have gone and visited them then. When they were alive, you should have gone and seen them. When they were ill, you should have gone to see them at that time. But now that they passed away, you insisting that don't show us the face, show the face. And you become upset to the fact that why did they not open the face and why didn't they show us the face? But it's not something to be displayed. And if they did, it doesn't matter. Get our priorities right, what is most important. And then we become naraz. To that extent, there are cases where the mudikai doesn't take place, people go away from them. Meaning they don't even stay till the janaza salat as well. Which just shows us that what did they come there for? It shows they did not come there for the janaza salat. They didn't come there to benefit the mayyit, they came for their own sake. They just came there so that they can say to people, "Ha, humne muh dekha tha uska." Or we came there to open the face for us, or we came there so that to show them that to show our face there. We want to see the face of the mayyit and we want to show our face. That is the gharz and that is the maqsad that we are going there for. Rather than it be a case of that we are going there for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we discharge our duty that we are supposed to be doing for the sake of the mayyit. That now the mayyit has the right upon us that we attend the janazah. That is what we are supposed to be attending for. And the fact that by us being there, we are able to make dua for the mayyit so that we are able to benefit the mayyit by increasing the amount of people who are there, who are going to make dua for the mayyit. Because the janazah salat itself is what? The janazah salat is a dua. Hence, you do not get after the janazah salat, there is no dua immediately after janazah salat. Foolish are those who do dua after janazah salat. It just shows they do not have ilm and knowledge. They do not understand what janazah salat is. Neither is it established from the sunnah. And the other is the reason why it is not established from the sunnah is because the janazah salat itself is a dua. That's why we have the dua in it as well, isn't it? Allahumma ighfir lana limaytina wa shahidina wa ghaibina wa saghirina wa kabirina wa zakirina. Allahumma ighfir lahu wa rahmuhu wa rawwihi fil jannah wa sakinhu fil jannah wa dakhilhu fil jannah. Whatever du'as are made there shows us that the janazah salah is a dua for the mayyit. Hence there is no ruku, there is no sujood, because it is not like the normal salah that we perform. So now when you have performed the janazah salat, you have already made dua for the mayyit. What is the point now that now you stand and you make dua immediately after the janazah salat? Which shows us what we're trying to establish, the fact that no, our duas are more important than the duas that Nabi Sallallahu taught us to read in the janazah salat. Is that what we're trying to say? That are not going to be effective until we don't make our own dua? This is exactly what occurs by doing so. After you have buried the mayyit, at that time it is permissible to do dua. You cannot do dua as well. You can leave it and not do dua as well. But to do dua at that time is established when Nabi Kareem Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said to the Sahaba, make dua for your fellow brother. Because now the angels are going to come and they're going to do the questioning and that. Make dua for him now. So that is something that is established to do dua afterwards. But to do dua after the janazah salah, this is something which is not established. But my dear friends, the initial topic has changed. But in between there's many things that have been mentioned which are very, very important for us. Whatever we have heard in it, let us take heed of these matters and put everything in perspective and ensure that we follow our deen as we meant to. Allah Ta'ala grants all the tawfiq and understanding.